Carnegie Hall, New York City. If you're a musician or a singer, this is where you want to play. We met the archivist.
Welcome, I'm Gino.
I'm Reagan.
Hi Reagan, and you are?
Madison.
Madison, hi, I'm Gino. I'm the director of the archives and the Rose Museum here at Carnegie Hall.
Wow.
And I heard that you went to a concert the other night at Carnegie Hall. So what did you think?
We loved it. In Carnegie Hall, the sound is just beautiful.
We're famous for our sound.
Yeah.
Because some places like this room, you know, it's really loud, it's boomy. And if there was an orchestra in here, you would go, oh my God, I can't hear. It's too chaos.
Yeah.
Downstairs, the room is 40 times bigger than this. And yet, even when somebody whispers, you can be heard all the way up in the balcony.
We went behind the scenes to learn more about this place.
We became one of the most famous concert halls, partly because of all the different types of people that have been here. If we look around the room, you'll see there are people like the Rolling Stones and Frank Sinatra and Yo-Yo Ma, and over here is a poster of Duke Ellington and Billie Holiday. These are all legendary names in the business, and unlike a museum where you come in and say, wow, look at all those people who were here. We're still in business. You were at a concert the other night. You know, if you look, see where the arches are? There's 5 arches. Right above the arches, underneath that balcony, you'll see there's all those little cornices, and that's where one of those came from. Opening night, 1891. And this is a concert, one of the great composers of all time. His name was Antonin Dvorak. And he was actually here. It says first appearance in the United States. And at that time, it was known as Music Hall. It wasn't called Carnegie Hall. It was known as simply as Music Hall. But because there were a lot of different kinds of music halls in New York City at the time, they started calling it Carnegie's Music Hall because he funded it to keep the money. And the press started printing that, Carnegie's Music Hall. And then by 1894, basically, people were calling it Carnegie Hall. So it's kind of an interesting story.
They have so many cool things there.
This is the building across the street. It's called the Osborne. At one time, it was the tallest building in town.
Wow.
But this is where our lobby will go. This is where Carnegie Hall will go.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
So it's
This was-
right next to the building.
It's right across the street. If we look out the window, you'll see it's still there.
What?
So that was 1885.
Wow. Did they change it?
No, not at all. It looks the same. We can go out there and you'll see.
His job is to protect the history of Carnegie Hall.
It's a huge building, you know. So people come in sometimes and see just the hall itself, but it's enormous. In fact, let's go. I'll show you.
We went into the archives, which is like a big, huge treasure chest.
These are where our history is. In fact, let me show you. Behind this one, look at that. We can walk down here. Come on in. Let me see. Now, one of the most important things in an archives is to remember where you put stuff. It doesn't matter if you have it, if you can't find it. So I am going to pull out this box. And let's see what we find. This is really cool.
The treasures.
So, this is a sketch by Beethoven.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Joyful, joyful, we adore thee. That's Beethoven.
You know, Beethoven became more and more deaf as he got older.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting story, you know, imagine a composer losing his hearing, you know. He was, I saw this really interesting letter. He was walking with a friend of his, in the forest, and his friend said, "Oh, listen to the shepherd. He's playing his flute." And Beethoven writes, "I couldn't hear it." And then he realized, "I'm starting to lose my hearing." It's really incredible. So he started, at one point he was deaf, couldn't hear at all. So he started to write things in notebooks. And, you know, like, "I need soap, help me do this, could you buy me some food," or whatever. But he also put these in the same notebooks.
We got to touch the papers that he wrote with his own hand.
The cool thing about this is an autograph book from 1916 to about 1936. And everyone who performed at the hall signed it. Anyway, look at this. This is what once upon a time, if you wanted to perform at Carnegie Hall, either you or your manager or your father would call the booking office and say, "I want September 23rd. And so she would open up the book and look to see. And look, as it turns out, oh no, it's busy. September 23rd was empty. And so she would write in who you are, how much it's going to cost you, and what you wanted to call the show. And so what's amazing is that we have these, and look, you can see anyone who performed every day of the year. You can see all this information. And what's remarkable is that she never erased. Look, it says Boston Symphony here, and they changed their mind, and so she crossed it out, but she didn't erase it, so we have a record of what might have happened here. And that's really kind of neat to know too, you know.
Maybe if I keep on practicing my instrument, maybe I'll play in Carnegie Hall.